We acknowledge with gratitude that we are gathered on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coquitlam First Nation, who have lived here for thousands of years and continue to care for these lands and waters. We also recognize the shared territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Tsleil-Waututh, Katzie, and Musqueam nations. We honor their enduring presence and ongoing contributions to this region.
Tuesday, September 30th, 2025, Spirit of the Children Society has hosted a powerful gathering in Queen's Park, Southfield, New Westminster, BC, to commemorate Canada's National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, to elevate voices that have been often silenced, honoring survivors and their families, to educate and build awareness among non-Indigenous participants about the historical and ongoing effects of colonialism. Tri-Cities Community Television would like to thank the Spirit of the Children Society for the invitation to cover this event.
On my left, we have the Elders Tents, Spirit of the Children Incorporated, First Aid, Mental Health, Spirit Store, Elders Store. And your vendors, we have Found Feather Creations, Creations by Auntie, Shining Bear Designs, Creations by Roslyn, Spirit Bear, Shop First Nations, Blue Sky Native Artisans, Lotus Berry Company, First Stone Creations, Deadly Unicorn, Stargazers by Carmen Rednut. I might have pronounced that wrong. Arbor Beads, Hawk Lace, Morning Star Gifts, Another Coyote, Tina Tap House Creations, Salmon and Jerky Girls. These are all of the vendors and tents and the Spirit of the Children tents on the grounds today. We thank you for being able to be a part of this organization, be a part of today in helping us to remember, to listen, and to build more knowledge in where we are. Also, any vehicles that might be parked alongside here, if you're not an elder, can you please move your car to the parking lot? There are washrooms here. There are also food trucks as well. And most importantly, on my right over here, we have a smudge tent. If you feel that you need that extra cleansing to your life and to your body, to your spirit, please come and be able to be smudged off, brushed down. I think I got all my housekeeping done. So, my English name is Travis Angus. I come from the Nisga'a territories. I'm a visitor here on these lands for many, many years. And I'm grateful to be here in the city and away from my home. I am a two-spirit man. Back in our day, we were shunned out of our communities by churches and by the government. So we find our ways of coming to our territories and being in our land, in the land that where our feet bring us, to know that we belong. When we acknowledge the territories, we're basically standing in somebody's living room saying we're here already. Protocol has that many years ago, our canoes used to land on the coastline of Vancouver coastline or up and down the coast 4 times a year, spring, summer, winter, and fall. During those times, all those canoes would arrive those 4 times of the year, unless actually communicated into coming anytime in between those, where our chiefs and our people, our nations would communicate back and forth to the people of the territory. During that time, they arranged for those arrivals to happen. So when the canoes all arrive on the shoreline, the people of the territory come down and line the beaches. There and then they begin to what we know today as the call to shore protocol. This is where each chief will take the bow of the canoe, and they will then ask for permission to come to shore. May we come to shore to your beautiful territory. The people of the territory, what is your reasoning for being here? The canoes, the people of the canoes would answer either to travel through your beautiful territory to get to our brothers and sisters in the east, to trade our foods or trade our furs through other businesses here, for medical reasons or to start a new life. The people of the territory will take your reasonings in consideration. There and then they will grant you access to ride your canoe on the land. When your canoe is being granted access, you approach slowly. Everyone gets out of the canoe together, and we greet the people of the territory, thanking them for the permissions to be here, to be allowing us on their territory. If your canoe is not granted access and you're denied, you turn your canoe around and you leave. You come back again the next season and never ask why. You just come back the next season. But if your canoe approaches the territory without communication, without acknowledgement, without letting them know that you're here, once that is found out from the people of the territories, everybody on that canoe is ambushed and killed because it is a sign of war.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
So anytime that any communities, even the communities on the coast, would come to one of the other nations' villages, they would have to communicate first. And if they showed up at the shoreline of your community and you weren't there, people weren't there, they turn around and leave and come back and ask and then start communication all over again. So it's very, very important knowing this protocol and what that means to us and our way of life. Our protocols are our Indigenous laws, and we abide by them in everything that we do. So I acknowledge today for the people of the coast and knowing that the importance of being able to have these protocols in place. So when our canoes used to arrive, we used to share a peace song. It's called Gawagani. Gawagani is a ceremony that was utilized during the time of war, when it would take anywhere from 3 days to 3 weeks for the ceremony to process, with giving the people that are at war time to split apart so that we were able to collect our injured and honor our warriors in burial. During that time of the 3 days to 3 weeks, it gives the war parties time to collaborate and see if they're willing to return back to war or go back onto their lives. So here's our Gawagani. Yendo, Alaska, Tennessee. Yendo, Alaska, Tennessee. Ee-oh, hey, hey, oh. Thank you. Once we've announced that we have come to shore, thank you. Once we've announced we've come to shore, we've shown our peace songs with everybody. Normally you would use, Gawagani is a ceremony, and it's done with swans down, eagles down, and geese down, and it's blown through the air. So if you're in an event and you see all of these down floating all over the place, it's an Indigenous organization or group or nation has come, and this is how they show that they're here in peace. But if any of the feathers have blown upon your person, your hair, anything, don't brush it away. It's a sign that a blessing has come to you. So once we arrived on shore and we've offered our peace and everything, when I first moved to Vancouver, I befriended some people of Tsleil-Waututh and became my family, my kinship. It's very important that when we are in this world, that we develop kinship with everybody to show that we are a strong family and that we build our family wherever we are. The song that I want to share with you is the Coast Salish anthem, but is originally a prayer song of the George family of Tsleil-Waututh. The chiefs from the coast during this time had approached the George family of Tsleil-Waututh and asked them to use this song, their prayer song, as today is known as the Coast Salish anthem. Oh, Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Again, thank you for being here, for bringing your energy forward, showing the love, the kinship that we have as humans, that we are all one people. As a product of the Indian Day School, myself, the Indian Day School at the time were in our communities, in our villages. We were forced to go to school. If we didn't go to school, our parents would have been jailed, or there would be fine charges for us for not being at these schools. These were not safe schools. These were schools where there were a lot of abuse, physical, sexual. There was even times when UBC used to come into our communities for dental work. And you see a lot of our kids walking around with their teeth missing. Nothing wrong with their teeth, we were practice. Fortunately, I have my own teeth today. But very hard lives that we had to deal with, and just realizing that there is so much pain and tragedy that a lot of our people hold. Being expected to look at a day, to remember, to acknowledge, to listen, is so important for us to be able to, looking back at our history and what that means for us today. Our culture is one of the strongest things that we couldn't remove from our people. Our culture is in our DNA. It is our history, it's our genetics, it's everything that we know. Even if we think that we don't know it right now, there are times when we're called upon for duties in our families that automatically you will remember. You will know exactly what to do. We are challenged every day in loss, in tragedy, in crisis, but we're also celebrating, loving, appreciating, acknowledging. We have these opportunities to be able to heal, to move about our lives and to grow from those. It's very important that we realize that when we do it individually, we all heal differently. Some take a lot longer, some are quicker, but you have to remember that a person walking with you, if they're angry, they have a right to be. If they're hurt, they have a right to be. If they are homeless or in addictions, that is their choice. But if you look deep into a person's eyes, you can see the spirit that is still there. It may be bruised, beaten, torn, but it's still there. We take for granted in looking at people that our people are strong and tough and will make it through everything. But we look to supports, we look to our culture, we look to our being, our identity to know who we are and where we've come from, because we've all come from somewhere. So in reconciliation, we look at how we're interpreted as, resilient. I looked up resilient in the dictionary, and it stated, though, looking at an elastic band and stretching it and it coming back into its shape each time. But it doesn't state that that elastic band can break. It also doesn't state how can we put it back together. That is in us to find that way. It is in us to look to ways of how we can heal. We can heal through our artwork. We can heal through our music. We can heal through everything who we are, because we are bringing you, and you see all of these artisans that are around the table, bringing to you creations that come through to them. It's not that because they know how to do it, it's because they're sharing a piece of their culture with you. I acknowledge all of our residential survivors. I acknowledge all of the families, the families that have had residential school survivors in their house. There are so many learned behaviors that we need to unlearn, and so many different ways of walking through our life that we need to be able to find those moments in our life to find strength and power. One thing that I've noticed in growing up in my life is I had everything beaten and taken out of me, but they couldn't take my power. I still stand here a strong individual man who has come through a world that has already been tarnished. But continuing on that path so others would feel safer in where they walk. So today I ask, and I recognize all of you for being here. I thank the workers of the Spirit of the Children, all of their work that they have done to help to be able to have people be recognized, to have people acknowledged, and thanking them for all of the traumas that they've gone through in their time, and sharing those stories with us so that we can be humble and that we can look to living this better life, whatever it looks like for each of us. Today, I thank you for being here. I'm trying not to overtake the whole stage thingy today, but thank you very much. We'd like to thank Key West Forts for being here as well. Thank you. And then, of course, all of our equipment guys here, audio, thank you for being here. Filmers, especially take note of the teepee and the canoe. It represents the prairies and the coast at the same time, all of Canada. So thank you very much for everybody, and thank you again for your patience. Survivor Patrick Nippy, for some words. Patrick.
Hello. Oh. Are you guys alive out there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to address you first in my language. I speak English, Soto, and Cree. 3 languages. And my ancestry is Cree and Soto. I'm also a product of residential school. I grew up in residential school. Akwe, achinan niwako magantik. Ginanakaminnim, how magap me, which me one chitas in the man gego. Wega give me, agisigu up naniguan. Apchi give me most one, give me aquiguan. Give me when and me one. Me ye agisigu iguan. Apchi battening. Keep me tesindam. Keep me magnatic and me one. Keep me a pen mutat man. manituchigen, Giacomoinamuan. Way got this in the man, give me an accommodation, and got me under the What I was talking about is the history of my life. I grew up in a residential school in a time where it wasn't nice, wasn't good, and I don't recommend that for any child to go through. I was there for 10 years, and in those 10 years we were tortured. And the school I grew up in was Gordon's residential school in Saskatchewan, Treaty 4 territory. And that's where I grew up. And in that system, we learned, when I first got there, you know what was the building and the windows, you know what was on those windows? Were bars. That was institution. That was going to be my jail for the next 10 years. Little did I realize what we were going to go through, how much torture and how much abuse we were going to go through. And back then, my mom, my dad, my father, had no choice but to send their children into a residential school because they were going to be jailed, or the kids were going to be apprehended. I heard those from my own mother. When she spoke about that, she told us about that, she cried. So it's not just the children that were affected, it was also our parents, our grandparents. This is what they were given. That was a choice of colonialism put in front of them. Culturally, we were strong in culture. In English, in language I mean, we were also strong. My parents followed the cultural way of life all their lives. And in that, in spite of the residential school system, my parents continued to talk in our language to us. And my first language was the Soto language. And the importance of language when we're doing cultural ceremonies, they instilled that in us as children. Residential school did not do one damn good for the kids. And the reason why I say that, because a lot of the kids I grew up with have suffered the same trauma, the same abuse. But this time it was the authority. And this is where we're talking about truth and reconciliation. When I come to these events, I'm the one that lived it. I know what the hell I'm talking about. And I'm also the one that suffered after the fact. I cannot change the experiences I experienced in that residential school. I'll share this with you. By the time I was 14, I left. By the time at 14 years old, I was a full-blown alcoholic and a drug addict, living on the streets. That was my way of coping with the trauma that I went through, the severe beatings we got. And how did I manage to keep the language? Because when we go home on holidays, my parents would speak the language to us, and they would also expose us to cultural ceremonies. There were protocols and practices within those ceremonies. They were called Creator's laws. Those were the things that our parents taught us. And the main thing they talked about was to keep the language. Because the language has more spiritual meaning. It encompasses the holistic medicine wheel concept. Residential school. When we went through the residential school, there's the history, there's the past, present, and future. When those three things collide, there's no balance. Through culture, through ceremony, through sweat lodges, through pipe ceremonies, you learn balance. When we have the history, the past, we were taught that. And the way we referred it to, and to this day we still refer to, is the old ways. I was very lucky to be raised the old ways. We'd go to ceremony. When we go to ceremony on our holidays, we get taken. I used to go into a room, into a ceremony where there was a lot of old people with white hair. And they shared their wisdom and their spirituality in that ceremony. And they talked about issues that were going to come in the future. And that was what we were taught to follow. Residential school taught us how to fight, how to be ready when you're going to get abused. And we had to learn. We were just 6 years old when we were all getting abused. Now, the question, we grew up angry. We grew up feeling institutionalized, and that was what it was. Being institutionalized, we were being trained and conditioned to live this system. In the 10 years, I had a friend of mine not too long ago. I asked him, Ashley, I said, what's the one thing you can get out of what we went through, the torture and all that? We never talk about it, and we still don't. We don't like to get into detail about it. We just know what we went through because it still hurts us. And you know, the answer he gave me was, I said, you know, Patrick, the best thing I got out of that thing, in spite of what we went through, is I have family. That bond, the importance of family. I grew up with these guys, and I'm going to say this. That loyalty, that camaraderie is still there. It's very strong. To the point where my childhood friends will take a bullet for me. I will take the bullet for them. That was what that experience brought us to stick together. In this residential school system, we had junior boys, intermediate boys, senior boys. And you know what? When we got there, when we got initiated and started getting abused, you know what the intermediate boys and senior boys did? They all educated us on how to fight for ourselves. And they told us what to be aware of because of the authority. It was the mentality they taught us to fight, to fend for ourselves, because nobody was listening to children. In our culture, children are very important. They are the closest to Creator. And that was the thing. Residential school did not empower us in any way. It disempowered us through abuse. Child care workers knew the abuse was going on. And if you're questioning my story, look it up. It's in Google it up. You'll see what I'm talking about. And why I say that? Because it was a white man was the boss, was the school administrator from 1964 to 84. He was the one that abused all the kids over the years from 1964 to 84. And you know what? Previously, he worked in Alberta, Leishan, in a Blackfoot community. And the way they dealt with that, there were reports of abuse going on. What did the government do? The government transferred Well, they heard about the school administrator, so they're going to transfer him over to Saskatchewan to go to his residential school. And that's how the government dealt with that. And then when he got there, same stuff came up. Abuse. But this time he reigned from 1964 to 84. And the way the way he set himself up was he made himself look good in the eyes of the community. He made himself look good in front of the child care workers. He made himself look good with also the board. And nobody questioned him. But there were allegations of sexual abuse. And he provided all these programs for the kids, for the boys. And nobody questioned him because he was doing such a great job for the community and for the kids. And you know what the sad part about that was? Back in my time growing up, there were childcare workers that knew about, that experienced the same abuse, and they worked in the community, and they tried to address that. They went to Federation of Indian Sovereign Nations, FSIN, back in those days, and reported this, and nobody was listening. The staff, there were people trying to bring this to light. It wasn't until in 1990 that finally came to light in the legal system. 10 students of my generation got together and filed a lawsuit against residential school about the government. Out of that lawsuit, out of those 10 kids, he confessed. And out of those 10 kids, you know what the government did? They said, okay, they did find him guilty. He was guilty. When they found him guilty, they said, okay, we're going to give you some money. But there was a clause in there from the government that will give you this money, but you don't say anything. A legal clause. So what they did, the kids took it, and what happened is they couldn't say anything. That's when the flood started to occur about the stories of this residential school and towards this pedophile. What happened out of that was, as a result of that, over the years, a lot of my people, a lot of the guys I grew up with have been stuck in addiction. And one of the things, 14 years old, I sobered up. At 16 years old, I went to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I learned my cultural aspect of my life. I learned from my father and my mother the importance of how important I was for my life. I remember that's 37 years ago. I've been able to change and address a lot of things in my life. As I stand before you, I am not a victim. Culture taught me that. Then the importance of culture. I'm standing before you today. I'm standing in gratitude for the life that's been so freely given to me. It's me. Whatever I think, whatever I feel, I am responsible to sort that out. What those old people used to talk about, there were prophecies that were said when I was a kid, and I heard them. And it didn't only come from a human being, it came from our ceremonies. Those prophecies today I see. And the reason why those prophecies were told to us was to be aware The old man used to tell me I'd sit in the evenings and talk all night, and he'd have the pipe, and he'd prophesize and tell me how it was going to be. And the word he said, "Peatak." Gagi ay tuet kay te ay sino, "Peatak." He said, what the old man said? He said, be careful, be aware. In the future, this is what you're going to see. What he was telling me was basically, don't forget who you are. When I'm talking about that, the history, the conditioning that we are taught in residential school to be victims, to be always hurt, taught us to fight. I learned to be a really good fighter. And the hardest thing was to stop that, to change that. One of the things when you talk about this, when I see this and I see events, and when I talk, I honor. I'm not honoring myself. I'm not up here for myself to get recognition. I'm honoring for the ones that died in their addiction, that died in their trauma. And believe me, there's people I grew up with that are still suffering with that. And they never found recovery. They never found that's how they can cope. They're hurting. And they don't know how to process that. I'm honoring those ones. I'm telling their stories. You know where the next residential schools are now? And the cops are just as guilty for supporting it. The next residential schools are jails, are institutions. The minute someone says something bad, it goes to cops, authority. Okay, we'll put you in the system. That still is going. 60 Scoops has changed also, it's still going. It's the system we need to address. And one of the things, when I talk about the history, in the years I've been sober, I'm going to be 37 years sober on October 18th. And get this, in these 37 years sober, I have two beautiful daughters that I have, 30 and 33. And my one daughter gave me 4 grandchildren. And do you know what the thing about it was? A few years ago, I was talking to my daughter and telling her how proud I was getting my AA birthday. And she says, "Dad, can you quit referring to yourself as a drunk?" I said, "What?" I said, "Quit referring to yourself as a drunk. I've never seen you as a drunk all my life." Right? It's true. Conditioning. So I had to stop. I had to relearn to think differently. The story, I was 22 years old when I was putting on a sweat lodge with my dad. Started teaching me about the roles and responsibilities of a sweat lodge. Taught me the songs, taught me the pipe directions, taught me all that. In that sweat lodge, and he was strict. And in that sweat lodge, what he said to me, he said, "My son," he said it in Soto, "Gus says, he said, "My son, you have to learn to think differently." That was what he told me. And he said, anything in Soto, this, what has hurt you, what the hurt you've went through, you have to learn to sort that out through physical aspect. He used to get me chopping wood to get it out. And the reason why I say that, because he also lived that horrendous life of extreme torture. Residential school, I learned, the first feeling I learned and after that year was I wanted to die. I wanted to die. What was I doing wrong to get this kind of abuse? That belief system, those feelings became rooted, embedded in me. Over the years, I did dangerous things to be able to put myself in harm's way. Even in recovery, I died 3 times in my life. And I came back. So when I think about it, whatever I think, whatever I feel, and how I behave, I am responsible to sort that out. When it comes to the family, I grew up in residential school. I honor them by sharing my story, and that they're not alone. One thing I learned in my life is we call it sinskotatian. Sinskotatian means support, not in just a physical sense, but also in an emotional, mental, and spiritual. That's the differences with languages. I'd like to reflect on something. 8 years ago, I came here, and when I saw what I saw out here with West Coast culture, I really loved. I found beauty in West Coast culture. And to hear the West Coast people still talking about in their language, that is what I'm attracted to. When I hear the language, when I hear the songs, that's life. They are exemplifying life through culture. And that's what I love. I often say this, there's nothing wrong with learning other cultures, but don't forget your first culture, your language, where you grew up. And I'd like to extend that to West Coast people. You have a beautiful culture. And thank you for exemplifying that and showing me that too. Because to me, culture is what kept me going, kept me safe. There's so many protocols and practices within culture, it's just not one way. But I'll tell you this, I found healing. I'm also a lodge carrier. I have grandchildren today I think about. I have 4 of them, right? And I have to be a role model for them. I'm not talking here about, I'm not in pain. I'm in place of gratitude. And I'll tell you this, because of culture, hoop dancing, I started hoop dancing at the age of 12. By the time I was 13 years old, I was dancing in Europe. And I got to dance all over the world because of that dance. That's what gave me life. That's what gave me strength. Also, traditional dancing was also another thing that helped me in my life. So when I see this, I feel very blessed, but also honored. Because this is the stuff that our children need to be exposed to more of. The importance of our children. I have grandchildren. I see the importance of their lives. When it comes to living in the present, to live in the present, because I grew up the old ways, there's conflict there. And I'm responsible to sort that conflict out at all levels of my being. When we have a future, where in the future are we going? What are we going to pass on to our children and our grandchildren? What kind of message are we going to leave them? Ayman, in Cree, they said, Ayman gibmatisian. Life is hard. But the one thing that those old people instilled in me is that we don't walk alone. We're not alone. And in spite of the traumas, in spite of the hurts of whatever we go through, it makes us believe we're alone. I want to share the importance of appreciating human life. Today, this gathering, it's not about morbid reflection to me. It's more about honoring the people and the children that didn't make it home. And I'll tell you guys, in Saskatchewan, there are children that didn't make it home. I witnessed a homicide. That same person killed a child, same age as I was. There was 6 of us in the room. Winter time. The thing about that, I've lived with that. We had to live with that. Nothing was done. You know what they deemed it as? He froze to death. And that's what it was deemed as. And I had to live with that all these years. And those memories, we grew to have issues with authority because of that kind of stuff. The only difference today is I don't have an issue with authority. I know the truth. And that's the thing with truth and reconciliation. That's the first pipe law in our culture, is honesty. Honesty is the cure of the mind. Without honesty, you cannot cure your mind. Those spiritual values, those teachings is what that I learned. So when this happened, all this stuff came out. When the settlements came out, all that stuff came out. Today, it's out in the open. And as a result of that, to live with it, there was no hocus pocus in my story. Creator is going to come down here and take away my problems, take away everything. It don't work that way. That's what I got told by a Canadian war veteran. You had to learn to live with it. You have to deal with it, process it, go through it. I went and became a mental health therapist. For a guy that only settled for education for 30s, growing up, I only said, I'll give it 30, I'm okay with that. The highest I can do is 52, because we had trauma, abuse happening in all directions. Well, in the last 15 years, I ended up getting my legal studies. I got my psychology, just to prove that I was not dumb. I did all these things. And why? Because I had grandchildren. I was saying, Papa, they were telling me, well, I'm going to go to law school. Well, what did Grandpa do? I went and got my legal studies so I can help my grandchild. Then I find out the little guy didn't want to go to law school. You want to go into a trade, right? I said, what? I did this for you. I said, I'm sorry, Grandpa, but this is what I want, you know? One of the things that I'd like to say to the people that are not fully aware of residential school and 60 school. They're not perpetrators. They're not. They're victims of residue of trauma and what they went through. Why I say that? There's a term I hear. I'm second generation residential school. I tell my daughters, don't you dare be saying that. You're not a victim. And I'm going to say this, and I can only say this because I role modeled them the importance of who they are through culture, through education. So today, I don't want them being labeled, is basically what I want. And I don't want them to be victims. As I stand before you, I'm not a victim, nor am I a perpetrator. I'm a Native man that knows his culture, knows his language, that has done work in healing on himself. I'm not angry about my life. I'm at peace with it. That's the biggest gift that was given to me, was to be able to live in peace within my mind, my emotions, physically, in all areas of my life. I'm content. And I'm very grateful for the people that have helped me over the years. I didn't do this alone. That was what I was told. One of the things I like to leave with the parents that have your children here, love them, embrace them, cherish them, because there'll come a time where in turn they're going to do that to you. That was what I was taught by my parents, by the old people in my community. Because human life, I learned the importance of human life, that our lives are important. And if you don't believe that, look around. Ask yourself, how many people love you? Here, coming to the West Coast, I've really appreciated and love what I see with the importance of the hats. Those are spiritual things. That's what keeps the spirit going. The values and the belief systems. There's just so much injustices out there still. But the important thing is right here. Right here. Whatever I think, whatever I feel, and whatever I do, I am responsible to sort that out. I am echoing late Eddie Belrose from Drift Pile. So thank you for listening to me, and I'd like to encourage the parents to honor your children. Love them. That's what my late mom told us to do with our children and our grandchildren. Ginanaskam tanaw kakyaw. Gab mi aitwayan, gab mi pikskwayan. I'm speaking in Cree. Wegagi kanamagus yan. How am I to kinatut gego? How much madtaman? What I was told in the creation story, the Creator put signs and symbols for us to listen to. That is, as First Nations people, that was what I was told, that we have to listen to those. Thank you for listening to me. Aho.
Thank you, Patrick. Next on our speakers list, we have Randy Tate, Amat Otson.
I'm back. Anyway, how's everybody doing out there? That's good to hear. What I remember of the residential school, in 1831, it was back east in Ontario somewhere, the first school opened up. Yes, thank you, Mohawk Institute. And I think it was 1867, the first residential school opened up here in the interior. And I think the last one that closed was in 1997. Yeah, 1997. That's not too long ago. Wow. I'll share a little bit about my upbringing. My father, who's a residential school survivor, I didn't really know my father all that well. All I knew him as a very angry person growing up in the household with alcohol and drugs. And my mother didn't end up in residential school, but my father did for many, many years. And I couldn't understand why he was so bitter. And then I sobered up in 1990 and educated myself on residential school and why our people are the way they are today. And I learned to forgive myself and forgive him for the way he treated us growing up. And he's, like I said, he's 93 this year and he'll never change. But to witness the things that he did at home, like hiding food so he wouldn't starve, because that's the way they were treated in residential school. Because he told me stories like they would sneak out on the potato field and go get potatoes and eat the potatoes raw because they were hungry. And they would sneak into the fridges and the cupboards and sneak food there so that they can survive. And so my father carried that with him to this day. And now that he's at that age, our family are taking good care of him. So what I learned was not to hold on to any resentments or any anger towards my family, because today I know where our people have suffered from in the residential schools. So, but can I tell you an elder's joke? Would you like to hear an elder's joke before I leave the stage? Before Travis gets a long cane and pulls me off? So anyway, here's this. Some of you might, I don't know if anybody knows this story, but there's this elder, like our elder Travis there, sitting back in his rocking chair, smoking a pipe, enjoying the beautiful sunrise. RCMP cruiser pulls in onto the property and he steps out. He says, "Excuse me there, old man. I come to check your property for illicit drugs. This is my badge right here." And the old man calmly says, "Okay, but just don't go behind that barn over there." RCMP officer was really getting irate, really upset. "You see this badge? You or nobody can stop me. This says I can go anywhere I want, anywhere I please." The old man takes a puff of his pipe, rocking in his chair, and "Okay, but just don't go behind that barn over there." This time the RCMP was just losing it. "You see this badge? I am the Queen's Guard. Nobody can stop me. Nobody." The old man calmly says, "Okay, just don't go behind that barn over there." Off the RCMP officer goes. He walks down behind the barn. And it's real quiet, really quiet when he goes around the barn like this. Couldn't even hear a pin drop. And all of a sudden you hear this loud scream, "Ah!" And he comes running out behind the barn really fast. And about 6 feet behind him was a big bull with horns. And you know what the old man said? "Show me your badge." Thank you, all my relations. Peace and love. Love you all.
Thank you. Before we carry on with our grant entry, we wanted to make sure that we had all the flag bearers to come over and prepare yourself. Also, any families with children, we have a giveaway for children in one of these tents here, and donuts. So any families with children, come to see this at the tents. So while they're preparing, I just wanted to add a few things. We look at the residential schools, the survivors, the people that have survived many years after, and going forward in their lives and trying to find process, healing, and forgiveness. The hardest part of forgiveness is forgiving ourselves for anything we've carried on through this life, anything that we've allowed people to come into our lives. We've have a more difficult time trying to forgive ourselves. So be patient, show love, and listen. We also we take recognition of the findings of children that were in burials in these residential schools. You know, I always comment to people and let them know that, you know, with the I think it was the 215 that were uncovered a few years ago, and then the ones that were currently uncovered now. We take in recognition and hold our hands up to the spirits that have left the world because of this.
Ladies and gentlemen, long time ago on a reserve far away, when the settlers first came to this Turtle Island, what we call North America, we call Turtle Island. And when they came to Turtle Island, they heard the term Pawa. They didn't know what it meant, but they heard that term Pawa. And when they got the interpretation of it, it was pronounced as a gathering, as what you see here today. But they interpreted it as all First Nations people throughout Turtle Island spoke the same language. So now I have a question for you. How many of you have a second language right now? Hold your hand up if you have a second language. All right? Now, do you speak that second language at home all the time? Do you watch TV with that second language? I don't. But can you imagine if we all did not speak the same language? How would we interpret each other? We interpret each other through song and dance. So a long time ago, when you're gathering right here as you're sitting down, you have to understand, long time ago, we didn't have lawnmowers, we didn't have weed eaters, we didn't have that little turtle sitting on a stick and you push it with little wheels and they eat the grass. We didn't have any of that. What we have is what we call the grass dancers. The grass dancers would come out, they would tap the grass down for an area, place for you to sit. And again, you have to remember, a long time ago on a reserve far away, our grass was 4 or 5 feet high, swaying to the wind. And this is why we bring out our grass dancers. They are going to dance to what we call the drum song. Our drum sings the honor song, what we call the drum song at a powwow. That honors all the singers that have come from far away, different lands, to come sing for the powwow. And we're doing that here today because we are all from a different drum group. We all come together to sing, different nations together. So we're honoring each other. And this is what we call, ladies and gentlemen, the drum song. Please stand at this time, ladies and gentlemen, if you could. But this is an honor song. We say, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a round of applause. Again, ladies and gentlemen, a long time ago on Reserve Far Away. You're going to hear me say that a lot because that's where a lot of stories come from that I have been told. And I have been told these stories through various people, various ways, and I have interpreted it into my story. I know there's a lot of versions out there that people will be talking, saying, you know, that's not true. That's not true. And I'll say, well, yes, it is, because I Googled it. So, you know, so of course it's true, right? Wikipedia is the best thing. You can change anything you want on it. Why not? So again, ladies and gentlemen, the term powwow, it's not powwow, it's powwow. It's an Algonquin term. It comes from the Algonquin tribe back east. Because when the settlers first came here, they heard that term. For my people, it's called wachipi. Gathering, dancing, powwow. That's what we call it. We call it wachipi. And that's how different terminology, different terms have come together. They've incorporated the word powwow as a gathering of First Nations people. But today, the powwow is more of a gathering. It's a social gathering. And that's what the powwow was originally. The powwow was a gathering of good spirits. We're gonna have what we call our procession. Sorry, I'm gonna come down here. Everybody come with me, okay? Everybody come with me. Mike, man, you got me? Yeah? Okay. You guys are all supposed to come over here. So what we have, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call our procession. We have our flags led in by our Eagle Staff Carrier. Our Eagle Staff Carrier is the one who leads in the grand entry. Behind him, we will have our flags. Our flags represent the territories, the country, and then we have what we call our head man and head woman dancer. They are the ones who are leading out all the dancers. So whenever we have what we call the intertribal, the head man and head woman come out first. And they lead, basically they lead everybody. They encourage everybody by coming out first to dance. Behind them, we will have our chief and any counselors. If there's any chief and council in the area that want to partake in the grand entry, come on over. You can take part in the grand entry. And then behind them, we'll have all our dancers. We're going to dance single file. All right? All right. A little bit of direction there. I had to give him the 2-4. Ladies and gentlemen, we honor the eagle feather. The reason we honor the eagle feather is because when we pray, as you see the big smudge bowl over here, the smoke, we send our prayers into the smoke. The smoke travels up. And we use tobacco. Long time ago on a reserve far, far away, we did not smoke the way you smoke it today. We always used tobacco to pray because the tobacco smoke was thick and heavy, and it would carry our prayers all the way up to the eagle. The eagle would then take those prayers and they would fly even higher, and they would take those prayers and they would send them up to the Creator, and the Creator would take our prayers and they would help us win at bingo. Hey, real Indian. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the reason why we honor the eagle feather. We do not let the eagle feather touch the ground. The reason, if it touches the ground, we believe a warrior has fallen somewhere on Turtle Island. And if that warrior has fallen because of this eagle feather, we have to honor that. We have to say a prayer. That's a whole nother ceremony. Everybody has to dance 2 by 2 and go into the ark. So together, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to please rise as we call upon our Buffalo Thunder singers to sing our grand entry.
say, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a round of applause. Our beautiful grand entry. Thank you. Thank you. Again, ladies and gentlemen, a long time ago in a reserve far, far away, we didn't have all these flags that you see that we're carrying here today. There was no 49th parallel. All we had was our people. Can I have my staff carriers come up front, please? I have some staff carriers, our receivers. Yes. And there's a story behind this, ladies and gentlemen, that you're going to see. Right up front, right here. Right up front. All right, I'm going to showcase to all of you. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, long time ago, we didn't have the 49th parallel. All we had was our Eagle staff. That's all we had. Today, we use our flags to represent different territories, different meanings, different countries, different reasons. Again, we have the Every Child Matters flag. We have the Canadian flag. We have the territory flag. We have the Métis flag, the Pride flag, and the Society flag. These are the flags we carry today, along with our Eagle staff. The drum's gonna sing 2 push-ups, what we call our flag song. This is to honor the Eagle staff and the flags. Hookah. Again, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of these songs that we call the flag song, they go back generations and generations. Some of these songs were made during World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm. Today our warriors went overseas. They fought in those wars. They missed their home. They missed their people. They missed their territory. Above all, they missed their language, their songs. So they made these songs over there to honor their people in case they could not return. Again, a lot of these songs go back generations. Some of these songs have words, and those words are interpreted into the Vietnam, Korea, Desert Storm. Those are the wars our local, our recent warriors have fought. So we honor our staffs and our flags and those. And again, ladies and gentlemen, those songs go back generations and generations. Now what you were going to witness is what we call the victory song. A long time ago, again, ladies and gentlemen, on a reserve far, far away, we only had the Eagle staff. The Eagle staff represented the people, the territory, the tribe. So we would go out and we would hunt, we would fight, we would gather, we would prepare for the winter, and we would take our Eagle staff with us, and we would ride in the boats, walk across the nation, and we'd take our Eagle staff with us. And it was always a victory when we brought it home. And this is what you're going to see right here with the victory song. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Again, what you witnessed, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, what you witnessed right there, again, is the victory as they came home. It didn't matter if they lost warriors along their journey. The point was is they returned home with the victory of bringing home their eagle staff. Because that was one of the prized possessions back then for different tribes, is to take that from their tribe. Because if another tribe took your eagle staff, your family staff, they took your life. They took who you are. They took your generations, your traditions away from you. So that was the victory of coming home, bringing home your eagle staff. So it didn't matter if it fell during battle. Someone else, another warrior, would pick it up and he would do his war cry and he would take it home. He would make sure it came home. It didn't matter if his life was taken either. He made sure that that came home. So again, give a round of applause to our eagle staff carriers. They were each paid $5. Treaty money, hey. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to give you a round of applause to our head lady dancer, Dorothy Visser. And our headman dancer, Mr. White Buffalo, William Visser. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, ladies and gentlemen, our headman and our headwoman dancer always come out first whenever we dance. These dancers here, give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I will explain their stories in a little bit when their time has come. Thank you, dancers. Come shake hands. Shake hands with our granite tree procession. So I told you, cameraman, you gotta watch out. They're coming for you. I told you, we're taking over your territory. That's how it was back in the day. We're not gonna give you a treaty card, though. So again, ladies and gentlemen, the powwow world, thank you very much. You can sit down if you'd like to. You can stand up all day if you want to. That's okay. But we're going to tell the story of the powwow world. Again, the powwow world is the Red Road. And it began a long, long time ago. Once you're done shaking hands, you can just go stand the flags into those little cement posts there. All right, sorry, just needed a little bit more direction there. Had to make an executive decision. So ladies and gentlemen, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 2 push-ups real quick of an intertribal. So all our dancers can come out and you can showcase your style all at the same time. So come on, intertribal style, intertribal time. 2 push-ups for the intertribal. Then we're gonna get into what we call as our categories. All right, this gives our drum group a little bit of time to learn a quick song. Yeah, come on out there, dancers. We've got lots of dance floor. Make sure you spread out so all of our spectators can see your style. Remember, you're all getting $5 today, treaty money. So, I come from Treaty 4 territory. It's in the Shiona Dakota Reserve territory of Kisby, Saskatchewan. And to this very day, ladies and gentlemen, I still receive from the Canadian government, yes, your Canadian government, I receive every single year $5.
Hey,
Yeah.
rich.
Doesn't even buy me Starbucks. Ooh, is it too late to say the Starbucks word? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You guys can all sit down. Thank you very much. Unless you want to stand here all day, that's up to you. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call the internation song. Intertribal. This is where all our dancers dance all together at the same
We'll set up the
time.
cameras for you.
And that way you can see it in their showcase.
So far, so good. I'm not sure when I go in focus, I'm so focused on
What do you say, ladies and gentlemen? Give a round of applause to our dancers. Yeah. Thank you, dancers. Let's clear the floor. Don't go too far, all right? Don't jump on the transit and take the bus over to the Timmy Hortons, because Starbucks, see? I like to rub that in. I don't even drink Starbucks. I don't even drink Starbucks at all. I'm allergic to Starbucks, actually, tell you the honest truth. My wallet is allergic to it. So dancers, don't go too far. We're gonna start off with our grass dancers. Even though we brought in our grass dancers earlier, ladies and gentlemen, I am gonna bring them back out. So grass dancers, come on back. Yeah, put the Starbucks down. Yeah, you gotta work hard for that $5. That's what I said, I'm gonna push you. So we got 3 grass dancers here, ladies and gentlemen. And again, the reason why we go back to them is because this is the oldest dance, not the dancers.
Obviously
They're not the oldest, okay? This is the oldest dance there is in the powwow world, the grass dancers. Again, the grass dancers were the ones who came out and they tapped the grass down. So they tapped the grass down. So again, you gotta imagine grass this high. So how can you see, right? How can you see me? You can't, because there's grass this high, right? So that grass is swaying back and forth on the prairies. The Lakota tribes were the one who brought this dance out. So the grass dancers, if you look at them, they're swaying as that grass does, back and forth, swing and sway. But they're also tapping down the grass. They're flicking any rocks out. They're flicking any twigs, any branches. Gophers on the prairie. I don't know if you guys know what a gopher is. Many of you don't know that. But a gopher, they have holes. So they'll cover the gopher hole with a rock. Or if the gopher sticks his head out, he'll stomp on his head. You ever see that game called Whack-A-Mole? That's where it came from our grass dancers. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is our grass dancers. It's going to be what we call a foot stomp crow hop. Oh yeah, round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. That is what we call our grass dancer. Nowadays, ladies and gentlemen, this dance was copied. So now you see those balloons of those plastic guys and they're all going like this. That's where they got it from, was from our grass dancers. We get royalties from that, yeah. Not just casinos, but we get that too. So ladies and gentlemen, we did our oldest dance. Now we're gonna do our newest dance. Is what we call the jingle dress. Come on out, jingle dress dancers. Jingle dress dancers, come on out. So again, the jingle dress dance, ladies and gentlemen, is our newest dance. The grass dance goes back about, I don't know, 800-900 years old. And again, I'm talking about the dance, not the dancers. Okay? Our dancers here, the jingle dress, this dance comes to us by way of the Ojibwe tribe. The Ojibwe tribe back east in Ontario and northern United States. 4 nations had a dream. In their dream, they dreamt about this dance. The cones are going to call the spirits. What they did, ladies and gentlemen, is they take someone who was sick, ill, and they would put him in the center. And these ladies would dance around them, is what we call the Ojibwe sidestep. And they would not pass each other. Because if they passed each other, they broke that connection, that circular solidarity. So they kept the circle strong by standing side by side. And again, a long time ago, ladies and gentlemen, this dance was outlawed as well. Because the Indian agents thought we were trying to do an uprising. But Maggie White brought this to the powwow world. She made the first jingle dress dance. This, ladies and gentlemen, comes from the Ojibwe tribe, the Ojibwe sidestep. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Jingle Dress Dancers. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Again, ladies and gentlemen, these cones that you see on these dresses, a long time ago on a reserve far, far away, you're gonna hate that term by the end of today, but a long time ago, there was only one place they could get these cones. So throughout the Ojibwe land, their territories, they would go amongst all the reserves, they would go to the gentlemen, and they would take the top of the snuff can lid, and they would shape their cones out of them. So these ladies chew all winter long to make one dress. No, I'm just kidding, they don't. You can tell by their beautiful smile, they don't do that. But today, ladies and gentlemen, you can get these cones on Temu or Amazon. You can get them at Walmart. Our reserve today, ladies and gentlemen, is Walmart. If you can't find your cousin, go to Walmart. Hey, cousin? Yeah, Clayton here. He's always at Walmart, that guy, trying to snag. Anyways, fancy dancers. Ladies fancy. Ladies fancy, come on out. Yes. Woo! Our fancy dancers, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we call the tornado dance. Yeah. 2 push-ups, yep. She's gonna do 2 push-ups on one arm. That's what we call it fancy. Now, to us, ladies and gentlemen, a verse in a song is called a push-up. So when we like say 4 push-ups, 2 push-ups, 1 push-up, that means like a verse. So it's not a push-up with the actual, you know, like I can do a push-up on a wall, but I can't do it on the floor. So thank goodness. But our fancy dancer, this dance originated from Oklahoma territory. Normally, they have what we call a shawl, a fancy dance shawl, because there's 2 actual interpretations of this dance. One is the tornadoes and whirlwinds that you see down south throughout Oklahoma territory. So the men's fancy, they have 2 bustles, one on their shoulders, one on above their hip, and that interprets as the tornado. And their footwork is interpreted as what's being kicked up by Mother Nature. So this is what the dance interprets as, is the Mother Nature, what she does to everything when she is upset. And she shows her power. So she's upset right now, see? She's pouting. This, ladies and gentlemen, is our fancy dancer. That is awesome. How many of you did she pickpocket as she danced beside you? Better check your wallets and your purses. She's pretty fast. So again, ladies and gentlemen, with the fancy shawl that they wear. Today, nowadays, a lot of ladies, they take out the shawl so they can move a lot faster and they can do a lot more performance with their feet and their arms nowadays. So, but back then, a long time ago, when the fancy shawl first came out, they used the shawl and it was interpreted as when a cocoon opens up and the butterfly first comes out, they expose their fancy, beautiful colored wings and they start flapping and they go off. Another interpretation, another story that I've heard is the hummingbird. As they flap their wings so fast, you see a rainbow color, especially in the mildew in the mornings. When just after it rained, you see that little tiny rainbow because their feathers move, their wings move so fast. So that's what these fancy dancers do. And let's give us a round of applause to our fancy dancer. We're gonna call out our women's traditional. Women's traditional, come on out, please. Again, ladies and gentlemen, a long time ago on a reserve far, far away, we had only what we call the sun dance. The sun dance was our church. We would go in there and we would pray. And being a paternal style, the males were the ones who did all the praying. And a long time ago, the women, they would stand behind the men and they would do what was called the stationary dance. And their stationary dance was incorporated into the powwow world. And these women danced the stationary dance. So when women became mothers, this is the dance that they dance, our women's traditional. Hold on.
Thank you so much. Sorry to interrupt. For those that are leaving, any of the family members that are leaving, we have a truck here with goodie bags with fruit in it. Please come and see over at the van. Thank you.
All right. Our women's traditional, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause to our ladies. Nowadays, ladies and gentlemen, what we call it the graceful walk. And again, a long time ago when the powwow world first started, all we had was women's traditional, women's fancy. So when a woman would dance the fancy dance and she became a mother, she was told she had to dance this style, the women's traditional. Thank you very much. Men's traditional, come on out. Men's traditional. All right, our men's traditional, ladies and gentlemen. This is where it all began, through song and dance. Now, watch out, you don't want to get tripped on. You see, ladies and gentlemen, our men's traditional, they were the warriors. They were the ones who went out and battled. They're the ones who went out and stole the horses. They're the ones who gained territory. They're the ones who went and picked up the Tim Hortons. And they would come back and they would tell the story of how they did that. So they're not just dancing around, telling no story. You're gonna see what their story is. They'll have to tell a story. So there is a test after this. You're gonna watch these traditional dancers and I'm gonna ask you what their story was. All right. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it all began. You have to think, when we had our gatherings, our powwows, and we had another nation come into our territory, how could we talk to each other if we did not understand each other's language? We would tell you a story through song and dance. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is our men's traditional. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is where all the song and dance came from. So what was their story? Anyone? Anyone? Walking down the street, he saw a quarter, so he's like, oh, I'll pick up that quarter. He's walking along, he's like, oh, there's a toonie. I'll pick up that toonie. Yeah. No, that's not what you guys interpreted? That's what I saw. Looking for change. Looking for an auntie. Hey. Yeah, better watch out. These dancers here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is what our powwow world is. This is what we do practically every weekend. We get together in different various communities. We have our drums, we have our dancers, we have our grand entry and our procession. At this time, I'd like to call out all our dancers again. All of our dancers, come on out. Our dancers are going to invite you. They want you to come out, form a big circle. Come on out. We are going to do what we do in the winter time. The winter time is what we do, is what we call the round dance. So our dancers want you to come out. Come on out. Come on out there, ladies and gentlemen. Make a big circle. Join into our circle, please. This is what we call solidarity. This is what we call togetherness. We are one nation. You ever see that commercial where they have 3 different eggs? They break them open. They all look the same. That's who we are. We are all human beings. We all belong to Mother Earth. The only way you don't belong to Mother Earth is if you are Klingon. So if you're a Klingon, get out of here. All right, so as best as you can, make a big circle. I got all this room right here in front of me. Okay. Some people can come here. So real quick, can our dancers that are in regalia come to the center? Our dancers that are in regalia come to the center only. Spread out, dancers. You guys got lots of room. I don't know why you guys are all bunched up together. You guys aren't chummies, remember? Yeah. Spread out right in front of everybody so they can see you. Make a big circle. Make a big circle. Yeah, make a big circle, okay? So what we're going to do is one push-up real quick so our dancers can show what we're going to do, okay? We're just going to do one push-up. Dancers, show us the style. You don't have to join hands. You don't have to. Just kind of do the footwork so they can all see you, okay? Spread out, though. There's lots of room right here in front of me. Oh, man. Okay, one push-up here, drum group. You see their feet? Watch their feet. See how they high step on the left side and they drag with their right foot. You see that? High step on the left, drag their right. Okay? And you bob up and down to the song. Yeah. There you go. And then when I tell you, right here, you raise your hands up and you do your war cry. All right, then you bring your hands back down and you continue dancing, okay? All right. All right. Okay. Does everybody understand what they're going to do? Yep. Everybody's got that dance? All right. Dancers, you can go back into the center. You can go back into the groups. We can form a whole other circle in the middle. It's up to you if you want to form another circle in the middle. Come on now, a few more people come in the center with our dancers. Just enough, okay, to make a circle. Come on, yeah. Let's make a second circle in the middle. Have another circle on the outside. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, we dance with the sun. So the sun goes to your left, you go to the left. Everything goes with sun. We always have a day, we always have a night. The sun goes from the east to the west. So we dance from the east towards the west, but in that circular motion, all right? So remember, when it's time to do your war cries, I want to hear you guys yell, yabba dabba doo! That's my war cry. You guys cannot copy me, okay? So if I say yabba dabba doo, you have to say something else. Scooby doo! It don't matter, okay? All right? Woo. Here we go. Round dance time. Buffalo Thunder. Hookah. in the air. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, don't move, don't move, don't move. Look to the person beside you and say, hello. Look to the other person on the other side and say, what's up? Look to the person behind you and say, give me $5. Yeah. Now everybody, I'd like for you all turn this way and look at me at this time, ladies and gentlemen. We gave you 4 push-ups so you know exactly how long one song is. So now you gotta imagine these dancers, they dance sometimes 52 songs. Yes, that's what we call an Iron Woman or Iron Man.
Half of one was enough for me.
They dance that style for 52 songs sometimes. But normally at any powwow they dance 2 or 3 songs. And they are each 4 push-ups each, and they're about that long, that length. So now you know how much bologna you have to eat to keep it. All right, so at this time, ladies and gentlemen, put your left hand up, put your right hand up, keep them both up. And I want you to kind of bend forward a little bit and say, oh, Gord, we love you. Oh. This time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Please clear the floor. Our dancers stay out, our dancers stay out. We are going to retire our colors. We brought in our colors, so we're going to retire our colors.